Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to part 2 of 3 of our reading of When by Daniel H. Pink.
Yep.
Ooh. That song makes me feel like it's sunny outside.
It is sunny outside.
Is it?
Finally.
Makes me feel happy of myself.
Yes.
Happy of yourself? Sure, Marty.
Happy with yourself.
Yes, very happy.
Keep reading.
Cool. Oh, wow.
So, yeah, pretty good book so far, eh, boys?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
What a way to start.
Yeah.
So, page 89 to 174.
87 to
87 to
174.
174. Yeah, so just this part of the book was called Beginnings, Endings, and In Betweens,
That's
Yeah.
right.
right? And it's often something that we don't think a lot about is like when to do stuff and why we're motivated at different times of different adventures.
Mhm.
And this book really does a good job of analyzing that, you know, on a psychological level and statistical level.
Yeah.
So let's start with beginnings, you know. What is the importance of beginnings that you guys find?
Like when to start,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. It's almost like timing is so key, right? Even when you graduate high school or university, that will have an impact for the rest of your life, and nobody even thinks about that. It's like what industry are you going to go in when you first, like what industry is going to help you by the time you graduate? So if you graduate 4 years from now, what industry is going to be booming at that time?
Mhm.
So the one is so important. And I like when he talked about that in this book. I think he talks about it later on, like how some people that were graduating, I think was it in the 80s, had a better chance of starting with a higher salary and continue going on with higher salaries versus somebody that graduated in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the economy was in the tank, you know.
Right.
And if you're starting out and you're positive, you know, because the economy is doing so good, then there's a chance that you'll have more motivation.
Yeah.
But if the economy is shitter, then, you know.
Don't they talk about how it takes 2 decades for someone that started in the 80s to catch up to the salary of someone that started working in the 90s? Like, it took a huge beating on the effect of how much you're getting paid, and it took 2 decades for them to catch up.
You know what he
But they're
does?
still getting paid less.
Yes. Yeah.
Crazy.
You know what he doesn't talk about, and I was surprised, but it made me think of it, is no,
Yo, mama. no, I
So,
had to say something. Sorry.
So you know how right now there's this huge thing about women getting paid less than men.
Yeah.
But if you
yeah.
think about it, a lot of it is because women go into maternity leave and all that stuff, and that's a
Yeah.
year off of work.
Yeah.
So by the time they get back to work, those men have an advantage because they've now gotten that much more experience within that 1 year. So they applied to these positions, right?
Yeah.
So that's sort of unfair a little bit. And
Mhm.
that's something that he does not talk about, but that has a lot to do with the when. Like he talks about when to get married, right? But when do you have children for it not to affect your life?
I know some of our
Your earning
friends
potential.
split it in half. So our friend Jas, who has his own business, took a 6 months leave so
Yeah.
that the wife can go back to work. They're both business owners, so maybe that could be a way to
So
shift
they're
things
both
around.
self-employed?
Yeah. So it's probably easier, but most companies now offer the same system for men, right? I think it's up to 6 months.
1 year total, but it could be divvied up however you want it. Is that correct?
1 year each.
No, 1 year total for the kid.
Okay.
And then you could do 3 months. But then there's also the aspect of, does the baby need more its mom in the earlier months or more his dad? I would think it's his mom.
Yeah, the earlier months, but then the
Oh,
second part of it, I would totally stay at home and take care of the kid.
Of course.
No, you
Sure.
shouldn't.
Yeah, I would, for sure.
I would want like a few months.
They're tough.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. But
Easy.
I think as guys, we deserve the beating of staying at home for a couple months with the kid.
I cannot, like I applaud my wife. I think she's been on mat leave for like 5 years now.
Women are definitely tougher than men.
Well, yeah,
Definitely.
but it's just it's you know, people need to start thinking when to have children,
Yeah.
right? Or when to get married. Like you need to plan that out, because if you don't, then one of you is going to get the short end of the stick.
That's a tough thing to plan.
He does talk about when you should get married,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And they had 3 points. Wait until you're old enough, but not too old.
Yeah.
Wait until you've completed your education,
Yeah.
and wait until your relationship matures.
Yeah.
So
So wait
obviously-
at least a year.
Yeah. So the
Makes
people
sense.
that get married after 32 have a higher chance of, longer marriage.
Well, yeah, and probably a lower chance to have babies too.
Yes. There's a lot of
Yes.
trade-offs. Wait till you're done your education. I think that's because you probably mature a lot during university or college,
Yeah.
right? And your relationship matures. This one was quite self-evident. Couples that get married after at least 1 year of relationship have a longer statistical chance to stay together.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's a lot of people that get hitched within the first year, and that's fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's too fast.
That is too fast, but those are the ones that just don't have the patience. Like they're just, probably older in age. Like you're about to get married soon, right, Marty?
It's definitely the relationship's there to make it happen.
Yeah.
Marriage as an ideology, maybe not, something that I'm willing to go down. But yeah, I guess
But I mean, like,
right about now would be the good time to do it if I was to.
Or just to even start a family,
Yeah.
right? Like it's good because your career is, I mean, obviously it hasn't reached the level that you want it to reach, but
Yeah.
it's flowing,
Yeah.
right? You're done your education and you can always learn more, but you're in a good position and so are you. But, if you, like for me, I got married at the age of 26.
That's
Okay.
not that young.
After how long of being together?
Since 21 or 22.
Yeah.
So,
It's a mature
That
relationship.
makes sense.
Yeah, so I've been with my wife for a very long time, and she's doing well at her job, and then she gets pregnant back to back, basically, right? So now she's been out of the workforce for almost 3 years, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, she's gonna go back into work, and there's no more momentum anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the prime of her career. Like, she's 32, 33. This is the prime of her career. This is when you can really show who you are and move up in the government,
Mm-hmm.
right? And those other people, this other lady, she's thinking of getting pregnant, but now she's holding that off because she's about to get a promotion to really get to a good position,
Sure.
right? So the when it comes to having children is huge, and he doesn't mention it in this book. I thought he would.
It's nuts.
I'll tell you when. When your girlfriend or wife says so, that's when.
Yeah.
They're the ones with the internal clock.
But
right?
they're the ones that needs
Yeah.
to make that decision.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
That decision that they make is going to be hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's something that you have to really think about, not just when you're ready, but when is it going to impact your career?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So
Yeah,
we
for
jumped
sure.
3 chapters.
No, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's a complicated subject.
So we want to talk about starts and when to start. So what they talk about here is school start time. I remember back when I was younger, at some point I was starting school at 7:30, and I got pushed to 8, and I didn't realize the impact it had on me. But according to what he's saying here, kids should start school at 8:30. That's a prime time to start school and to be able to listen and focus. And this had a big impact on their grades, their
Yep.
moods,
Yep.
less dropouts. So from grade 1 to college even. Actually, it says here, in the book, prime time to start school for college classes is 11 a.m. Probably has something to do with college students going out and going to bed later and stuff like that.
Yeah, teenagers sleep later, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But once you're in college or university, you're no longer a teen.
No,
Are you?
but you're
still have
still
that.
young,
Still
young and
mature.
dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not mature in college. Mind you, I'm still not that mature. So
You know what they should do?
what?
Start off the school day with the gym.
Yeah.
Like have gym class at
Yeah.
7:30 in the morning.
That'd
Yeah.
be interesting to see how that affects.
And then I bet you by 8:30 when it's the first class, everybody will be on top of things.
When we had basketball practice at 6:30 in the morning, I'd go to class at 8, and in high school, and I remember feeling a lot better that morning. You know.
It's unbelievable. I think, you know, if because what was gym class? Once or twice a week? Or was it every
Yeah.
was it
So
every-
us, we had 6-period rotation, so that was a day and a half, because it was 3 courses per morning, 3 courses per afternoon, so we'd have gym
And that was a
class.
lot. Oh.
Yes, it was 9 classes, 3, 3, 3, so then we could have gym, you know, twice every 2 days, but then on the 3rd day we wouldn't have it.
Right.
So it would be at least 3 times a week.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So
It's good.
three times a week. They should just make it every day,
I think so.
right? And just do it in the morning. And that way, you know,
But
the
then
adults-
some people don't like that. You got people that don't like gym class at all. I remember in high school, some kids would just sit against the wall and just not participate. So it can't be the same for everyone.
I guess you're right. Like it's the gym is
For most, I think it'd be a great idea.
Yeah, but we need to, like, going to the gym is a part of life. It's just as important as eating and drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to move. You can't just, like, it's not optional unless you're physically incapable of moving.
So maybe start the first hour of the day with, hey, do whatever you want. Gym class or take walks or just go outside.
Just move. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Just move, period.
and I'm not talking about like texting is not workout.
Not moving your thumbs.
Not moving your
Move
thumbs.
your ass.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how, you know, 1 in 5 school boards throughout the United States have adopted this,
Yeah.
and they're outperforming, you know, the other school boards that haven't changed their starting time.
Yeah.
And it's true, we give less importance to the when to versus the how to.
Yeah.
If they were told, hey, all classrooms that are painted this shade of green improve their scores by 3%, it'd be done.
Yeah.
You know, but because of the when aspect, it sounds like woo woo. It sounds
Yeah.
very, you know,
Yeah.
sort
And
of hippie, and then
Exactly.
people don't really respond to that.
And he says, like, older people are like, oh, that's bull crap, you know, back
Yeah.
in my day, I used to get up at 5 and, you know, so.
Just get up at 5 and fight
Yeah.
4 bears on my way to school.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Uphill both ways.
and the big challenge to get this done for schools to push the time forward an hour is parents are having a hard time getting their kids to school, you know, because their work day starts, you know, at
It's
that time.
inconvenient for them.
It's inconvenient,
It
yeah.
is.
And that's why the rest of the schools that haven't switched yet are not switching. But
True.
if they're gonna stick to the old system, I think if we look back on the past chapters that we read, they should just give out more breaks.
Yeah, and it's also a bigger issue. Like, I think just the Western world is just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Like, no stop.
Yeah,
It's an issue. And kids start at a very young age. Like,
Yeah.
they start that at a very, very, very young age from the minute they go to daycare.
yeah,
Everything is on schedule.
it's true.
It's I think daycare starts at 7 a.m. and goes up until 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So you can drop them off whenever you want, and you can pick them up whenever you want. If they opened up maybe a school program where you can drop off your kids at 7 a.m., they only have access to the gym,
Yeah,
and then class will start at 8:30. That might solve the issue.
yeah, that'd be good. Get them
And
moving.
then you can pick them up at 6 p.m. if you really want
Yeah.
to. They have access to the gym, maybe a study group or something like that. Like, there's ways around it. If it's inconvenient for the teachers, for the parents, there's ways around it. It might cost a little bit more money, but there's ways around it. Take a picture of
When
this.
was this written?
This was
Been a-
written, I think, this was written this year.
This year, right?
2008.
The reason why I'm asking is because most schools now have more playtime than what we used to have, right? So,
2018 it was written.
2018.
This is a new book.
Well, all right.
Brand new.
So forget what I'm saying.
So another thing I
know
wanted to talk about was the surprising fact, you know, that most teams that are down before halftime, if only by a small margin, will unproportionally win the game.
Mm-hmm.
right? So we have that here on page 131. Even though teams that are even though teams that are winning at halftime have an 80% chance of winning, when it comes to the teams that are only losing by 1 point, it is the losing team that has the statistical advantage of winning at a 58% of time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, if you can set a goal for the month, right? Sales goal. And let's say we're gonna have a goal of $30,000 in commission this month for the whole team.
Yeah.
And then you end up at being at 16,000 on the 15th of the month. You could say, hey, we're slightly ahead of schedule. And then you're competing against another team, and then they're at $14,000. It's beneficial to be at $14,000 at the halfway point versus, on the top end of things.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to relate things into our field,
Of course.
because real estate and mortgage.
Yep.
But like, man, even if you are slightly behind on your goals and stats, it's like, hey team, like we need to rally, we need to make this happen.
Yeah.
But if we're going further, if we're ahead of the curve, it's sort of like, well, we'll just maintain course and we'll end up being there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get that extra push, it's like a new beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, those champions, like the ones that get it, whether they're ahead or
They-
behind, they just keep pushing.
They think that they're, oh man, I'm gonna.
Well, the importance
I
of
need to be
keeping your
behind.
emotions stable, right?
Well, he does talk about that, Chris? He
Yeah.
talks about how you should spread your motivation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even when he was talking about new jobs, spread your motivation.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. I just got excited.
No, that's fine, that's fine. Yeah, so he was explaining the story of Patrick Ewing versus Michael Jordan, Georgetown versus North Carolina. I thought that part was really good.
Yeah.
I'm a big
I knew
Jordan
you'd
fan.
like that.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. And I didn't know about the Patrick Ewing side of the story, because you'll always hear about Michael Jordan scoring the last point, last seconds of the game, right? So that was really good. He talks about football as well. How most touchdowns, most points are scored at the last minute
Yeah.
of the first or the second
Second half.
quarter, second half, second half or quarter.
Towards the end.
Before
Towards
the
the
halftime.
end of the
Oh,
half.
so the second quarter.
Yeah. So I found that was really interesting too. And whoever's leading, the majority of them end up losing. Is that what?
Winning.
Winning.
So obviously, if you're ahead at halftime, you have a statistical advantage to win. But the teams or persons that are slightly behind at halftime, they have an unproportional chance of winning.
Right.
So if you're down by 20 points in an NFL game, chances are you probably will lose. But if you're down by a field goal at halftime, you're like within grasp to win the game.
Yeah.
But your motivation is unproportionately high because you need to push.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the point of that? What is he?
Well, I mean, just the importance of checking in on those temporal landmarks,
Well,
as he calls them.
He calls it also a uh-oh moment. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
The uh-oh
desperation.
effect. The oh shit, I'm falling behind. I need to giddy
Okay.
up. The uh-oh effect.
Oh, I see.
And then there's also some people who lose focus when they're in a slump, let's say, and have the oh no moment, and they give up, right? So
Yeah.
he talks about both sides of it.
Let's talk about those, the ways to keep motivated when you are in the middle of a project.
Yeah.
So we have the interim goals, right? And on page 137 to 140, he talks about a few methods. The ones that I noticed that were interesting was the Hemingway method. So Ernest Hemingway, the great author,
Mhm.
he would actually purposefully leave sentences unfinished,
Yeah.
so that when he got back to writing the next day, he could finish that sentence with ease, and he would get the mojo flowing
Start with a
right
small
away,
victory.
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then there's also the,
What if he forgets what he was saying?
well, I mean, it's sort of like a fun exercise to,
Remember? Get back in the story?
Yeah,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
yeah. So instead of like finishing your checklist,
Mhm.
maybe leave one easy thing for the next morning, like a domino, and then you
Yeah.
get to start the day with like a win,
And
Yeah.
then he found out who killed.
Talks a little bit about the endings too. I mean, we can jump into that later, but
The what?
how Hemingway rewrote the end of his book. I forget the title, like 39 times.
Oh.
So he talks about the importance of an ending, right?
Yeah, so he was saying there's no, so I think, like, there's no story. What was it?
Well, yeah, it's.
Are we talking-
There's so much to talk about.
We still talking about Hemingway?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're still talking about Hemingway?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Anyways,
So it was a fun, little note in the book that I thought interesting. Another one that, out of nowhere, I just realized that I am doing currently is 22 days ago I set myself a challenge of running 2 kilometers per day, and I've been using the Seinfeld method. So Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian, uses this tactic, and it's now named after him. Is he picks up a calendar, and every day that he writes a stand-up comedy or writes a show, he puts an X on it.
Right.
And he does not want to break that chain, right? So just using a calendar and saying today, I wrote 5 paragraphs,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then Jerry doesn't want to break his streak.
Right.
So, if he sets himself a goal of doing 300 days straight of writing, new jokes,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter if it's good or bad, he just wants to keep that streak alive.
Mhm.
And I find that that's a pretty cool way of keeping yourself motivated.
And you started this on a Tuesday,
Yes.
and you said it was a landmark.
It was a landmark for me because I had my CrossFit membership expire on the Monday,
I like
on the
it.
18th.
I like the conversation he was, when he was mentioning landmarks, because it's so true.
Yeah.
How we set a lot of our goals with those new beginnings, those landmarks, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's after Easter, after Hanukkah, after anything, after, first day of school, or last day of school, or first day of the year, last
Yeah.
day of the year, first day of the week. So it's, because I do that very often. It's like every Sunday night, it's like, okay, that's it. This week, I'm going to the gym every single day.
Yeah.
And then it's Thursday now, and I only went twice,
yeah,
right? So it's like, but then I'm thinking, okay, instead of saying tomorrow I'm going to start going to the gym every single day, I'll jump to next Monday.
Yeah.
I'm going to start going to the gym every day. That's been going on for like 2 years.
I don't know, maybe it's sort of setting a new beginning at some point, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like a Tuesday, mark it as your beginning instead.
I think I might try that sign up. I'm going to have a big calendar and just start mixing it.
for the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know what, I'm going to start doing it with just push-ups. I want to do push-ups every day, 100 push-ups every day,
Yeah.
right? And I'm still going to go to the gym every day, but maybe something like that just to get me going. That way I
And that
don't
you can do
feel
anywhere.
that-
You don't need to get to the gym. You can do it at
Exactly.
home.
And if
Makes
that way
sense.
I do miss the gym, then at least it is somewhat of a workout.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Landmarks
also,
are key.
there's also the social accountability method,
Yeah.
where you actually tell friends, I'm going to do this, and then you're sort of kept to your word.
Yeah.
And
That's how I quit smoking 3 times.
So
It's true.
how's it working for you now?
3 times. Well, anyways, if let's not get
you
into
only
that.
smoke
But
when you drink?
yeah,
Yeah,
but
me too.
I would always start with a landmark, January 1st or
Yeah.
2nd. It would be 2nd because the 1st we have a family party, so for me that was not a good time. So January 2nd I'd start and I'd tell everyone I'm quitting smoking. And then I'd get into the Seinfeld effect, but without crossing the days on my calendar. In my mind, I was like, I can't break the chain. I just lasted 3 days, 4 days, 5 weeks, 5 months. And then it would last for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And then start over again, right? But at least, it works.
That's good. Anything that you can do that's going to help you improve,
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. So
Yeah.
as long as you're trying, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
like our January that we
Yeah.
do on a yearly basis.
That's a good example too.
What? Dry January?
Dry January.
No alcohol.
No alcohol.
Mhm.
Obviously,
That's hard because there's still Christmas parties happening in January.
I know. but you just got to make the decision that it's probably the best time of the year to do it.
February.
I don't know.
Nah,
Sort of like,
It's the shortest month.
Yeah, but there's Valentine's Day, and if you're single, you need to get drunk.
but you're tired from the holidays
Yeah.
in January, right?
Yeah, it's a good time. Like
You partied your face off.
We
with
drink so
buddies
much
and
during the
family.
holidays. So coming January, it's like I've done enough.
We're such an unhealthy species, yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay. I mean,
We're probably the species that has more fun, though.
Well, we're the smartest.
have you seen monkeys?
They look like they have them all.
Yeah.
Cool, and we're gonna wrap this up in just a few minutes, but one last thing that I think is important that we talk about is that amazing portion of the book where they say that most marathon runners do it when they're 29. First-time marathon runners will run when they're 29, 39, or 49
Mm-hmm.
because they are reaching the end.
The 9 enders.
Yeah, they
Oh.
unproportionally achieve those goals just before they turn
They want to
a
make that
landmark
last year count.
attempt. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was 29, I set myself 2 goals. I wanted to be in the best shape of my life,
Right.
and I wanted to hit $100,000. I failed at both.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. But having those 2 goals being set gave my last year of my 20s purpose,
Yeah.
and I pushed myself at work and at the gym. So I actually joined the gym when I was 29.
Okay.
Before that, it was like a big no-no. So yeah, for sure, the end of your 20s, big things happen usually.
Well, end of your 30s now.
No, I'm 33, man. Come on, turning 33.
It's coming, man.
But just being aware of this
Let me get to
stuff-
the midpoint first.
just being aware of this stuff sort of allows us to, like, maybe put in some little tricks,
Yeah.
where we can say, I don't know, before the end of
It's
June.
hard running a marathon. Apparently, running a marathon is probably your best business course ever, right?
Oh yeah.
I read that somewhere. It's your
Why?
best because you go through so much up and downs. A lot of the times you feel like you're gonna quit while you're training to run for a marathon, and it's sort of like running your own business. Like there's often times you feel discouraged, it's not working out, and then you just pick yourself up and you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So running a marathon or training for a marathon is one of the best business courses you can actually take, and it's free.
Really?
Because you're running and you feel tired, but you want to keep pushing because today you want to reach 5K. Tomorrow
I
you
think
want to
we
reach
should-
6K.
We should enroll. We should find a marathon.
Honestly, let's do that. Let's. He's already on
Yeah.
track. I think I might start running every day.
Cedric and I are running a half marathon in June. So
Okay.
it's the Army.
Alright.
Yeah.
Like the mud race. There's another.
Yeah.
I would like.
We can do the Spartan race.
We should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Well, gentlemen,
Good
anything else to add before we wrap this one up?
No.
I think
So
we're
we
good.
read to the end of the book now.
To the end.
It's an interesting one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of this intro and outro? Oh, it's not working. Oh yeah,
All right.
that's good. Well, next week it's page, what is it, 170?
It's 174.
174 all the way to the end.
218. Actually, there's further reading here.
Yeah, the back is just the notes.
Let's go 225, I guess.
Cool.
But that's including the acknowledgements, which.
Thanks for tuning
So,
in,
if
guys.
no one does it, let's do it. Let's read the acknowledgements.
This, if you could comment below and let us know what you would like to recommend for the next book, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we'll be choosing the next book next week.
Next
Yeah.
week, yeah.
But if you have any recommendations,
We'll try to choose it not while doing this. We'll try to choose it before. Right?
Yeah,
Yes,
Not
absolutely.
stall and then, what do we do now?
It's
good.
gonna have to be a new book.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Till next week.